He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Common in these rankings?
I wouldn't say uncommon, but Granville Calvin Christian.
Buggle over the top, looking for Kraft. Toffolo right there now. Kraft, one-on-one, Kraft, and that's one! We're excited to have you stopping by. John Turner, Dan Stickrat, and we're talking high school soccer rankings and playoffs and much more here on this Monday. Over the top, looking for Kraft. Toffolo right there now. Kraft, one-on-one, Kraft, and that's one! We're excited to have you stopping by. John Turner, Dan Stickrat, and we're talking high school soccer rankings and playoffs and much more here on this Monday. Has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Common in these rankings?
I wouldn't say uncommon, but Granville Calvin Christian.
Buggle over the top, looking for Kraft. Toffolo right there now. Kraft, one-on-one, Kraft, and that's one! We're excited to have you stopping by. John Turner, Dan Stickrat, and we're talking high school soccer rankings and playoffs and much more here on this Monday.
There's good. Then there's sticky, sweet, spicy, double your napkins, don't even share with your own best friend. General So Good. Introducing General Soul Sauce for a limited time at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Let's do it.
Come on, Jack, get me.
Ooh, nice play. All right, go. There we go.
So cute. At Ally, we're helping millions save more for the things that matter most to them. Whatever you're saving for, we're all better off with an Ally.
Get back to work.
Did you know that your garage door is the single biggest object on your home? So if you're looking to add some curb appeal, it's a perfect place to start.
And right now, you can get 12 months same as cash. At Dover & Company, we carry the area's largest selections from top manufacturers. And don't forget to ask about our openers and accessories. We have it all, from battery backup, remotes, keypads, and OHD Anywhere that allows you to control and monitor your garage door from anywhere with your smartphone.
Dover & Company, your hometown garage door company since 1936.
Northwestern is up from 12, now at 10.
So you're banana bread experts.
At this point. I'm Annie. I'm Morgan. And this is our banker, Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis. They came in and were looking for financing. They needed some seed money to get the business going.
I was with him when I got the news that we had gotten into our dream retailer. I said, you allowed us to get here.
I live vicariously through all my customers, and this was just incredible. I could share in that victory with them.
It sounds like you made that victory possible.
I had a little something to do with it.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Common in these rankings?
I wouldn't say uncommon, but Granville Calvin Christian.
Just Buggle over the top, looking for Kraft. Toffolo right there now. Kraft, one-on-one, Kraft, and that fall. We're excited to have you stopping by. John Turner, Dan Stickrat, and we're talking high school soccer rankings and playoffs and much more here on this Monday.
At Dort Financial Credit Union, we believe in fulfilling our members' dreams and care deeply about supporting our community.
Without amazing partners like Dort Financial Credit Union, we would not be able to do what we do. And that's truly the backbone of our organization, is having those partnerships and community relationships.
From supporting community events to our employee volunteers, we are passionate about giving back to organizations that are important to you and helping make our community a great place to live, work, and play.
Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
What makes Snyder Financial unique is that we're a family-run financial advisory firm.
Our clients enjoy working with us because we're a family. We understand family and relationships.
We absolutely find joy in building relationships with our clients.
And we really want to help them feel educated and feel empowered with their planning.
The level of service and commitment that we have to our clients, that's what we put above everything else.
Snyder Financial, a proud sponsor of the Flint City Bucks.
Beat Up Sweet Chili Lime Sauce has 3 perfect ingredients. Sweet, chili, lime. People keep telling us sweet isn't an ingredient. How these wings get sweet then? Introduce a new Sweet Chili Lime for a limited time at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Every small business has expenses as it grows. Whether you're a farmer, a wedding planner, or anything in between, PFCU can help. With a suite of business services, we can help build your business.
Hi, my name is Paul Tinian. I'm with the Michigan Jaguars. I'd like to welcome all of you to Michigan Jaguars Monthly and thank Jonathan for the invitation to be here on MSN. Just wanted to let everybody know that this will be an inside look at our club, and every month we'll be providing some new hosts and maybe some new guests.
Back to Beatrial. He'll take a shot and he'll bear it! And then he'll fire it from Billows and it'll go in! Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one and that's gonna go in! And both goals so far. He'll fire one and that's a wonderful save, Trinity. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone! And he'll fire one now from distance and that is in! What a strike by Ben Maher! Well, hello, and welcome back into our Premier Sports Center studios. Alongside Dan Stickrap, my name's Jonathan Turner. We're excited to have you along here for another edition of the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association High School Rankings. And this week is no different than the last as far as changes. 40 overall changes here this week. We'll get into those changes here in just a moment. Some housekeeping that we like to kind of get out of the way here early. Your first time stopping by, hit that subscribe button. That way we know how much you care about what we're doing. And it's really, really important that you do subscribe, because the more people that have access to seeing this show and all the content that we do put out here on the network, the better it is for soccer here in the great state of Michigan. If you are in the comments section, get your comments in. We know that there are going to be questions about not only the rankings that we have here as part of the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association, but also, Dan, in regards to the top 50 that we have been releasing here since last week. We will get into that here tonight and talk about that as well. But it is week 5 here of the high school rankings. 40 changes, to only 2 teams in and 2 teams out this year, Dan.
Yeah, that's slow moving in terms of debuts, but a lot of changes. A lot of schools still hovering in that honorable mention category. We'll get to that as well as we get later in the season. You start to see in a lot of conferences a lot of ties, a lot of one-goal wins and losses. Teams kind of beating up on each other as they, high school tournament starts in less than about a month and a half. I mean, it's not that far away, so.
No, it is not. Playoffs here start the second week of October. We are getting ever so closer here to the end of this high school season, week 5 of the rankings. We'll get those to you here with Division 4 here in just a moment. So let's talk here a little bit, and Dan, I mentioned this kind of in the opener, in our open discussion here about this week and about what we've been doing here in regards to our top 50 that we released here this week. And, we released the bubble teams here this morning. Instead of releasing the top 10 from our network, we released the bubble teams. The teams that didn't make it into the top 50 this season for 2023. We did that this morning. And there was, and Dan, I'm sure every year you get some comments or some feedback from coaches, from parents about, hey, why our team didn't get in. And here is something that I want to say, just to putting it out there. It's something that I said to my players when I was a coach, is I'm fine with you proving me wrong. I think any of us would say that. I think that's okay. There's nothing wrong with working hard and proving everybody out there, the pundits included, the media, that they are wrong. And the time and effort that goes into putting these stories out, the things that you see here in front of us. Every Sunday, I spend 3 to 4 hours of my time, along with Dan doing his, to get this show ready, just so we can air these results here. So a lot of time and energy goes into that. And so does those conversations that the coaches have who are part of the Coaches Association, your division chairs who are in charge of these rankings. They go through a process, and sometimes they don't get the information until last minute. Hey, last week we saw Northville go from top 5 to the bottom half of the rankings. Sometimes it can be unexplainable what happens. Yeah. And maybe it doesn't make sense. And sometimes to us we scratch our heads. But the reality for us, and the reality for you there at home, the high school boys soccer players out there, just like when your coach comes up to you and tells you, hey, you're not in the starting lineup tonight. Just like when, hey, you're not in the top 15. Go out there, use that as a chip on your shoulder to prove to all those, specifically your team and your individual aspect of what you're trying to accomplish. Go prove everybody wrong. You know what I mean? And do it for yourself and not for us. But, I think that's the message that I would say is go do it for yourself. Prove the pundits, the media, the Coaches Association wrong. If you believe you deserve to be there, then at the end of the season, chances are you might be where you want to be.
Yeah, expand on that. The Coach Association, again, we've talked about this every week for the last 2 seasons. There's one coach in each of the 4 divisions that is trying to retrieve results and talk to. There's roughly about 110 to 120 schools in the MIHSSCA per division. So it's not simple for these guys to reach out, and some schools participate, some don't want to be ranked, they won't communicate with the chairperson of each division. So it's never accurate. I mean, what do the rankings actually mean? What do the rankings actually mean in the middle of February for NCAA Division I basketball? Really, it's all for fun.
Well,
it's all for fun. And you know, when we look at our Super 50 rankings, I did that for a decade over at the State Champs Network. We sent out 3 rounds of emails to every athletic director and secretaries and the coaches that we have actual emails for. We always put at the end of the email, please forward to the coaching staff. There's some coaches, the moment they got the email, they return it within an hour or within a day or two. But there are some coaches out in the state of Michigan, doesn't matter how many emails, phone calls, or text messages, they're never going to reply. I'm not sure what kind of message that is, that they don't want their kids involved. There are some coaches that won't pay their $50 annual fee to be a part of the Coach Association. So they might have some kids that make all conference, but the all district, all region, and all state, you could be a Division I athlete. But so your coach makes a conscious effort not to be part of the association, your kids are not going to be on the all district and ensuing all region and all state list. So we did get some emails this week. I get them every year. There was a couple schools in question that wanted to understand why, because they have an MVR, they play in good leagues. One school graduated 16 players, 9 starters. They only had 4 kids that actually played minutes last year, 3 or 4 kids off the bench. Another team, one that had a high MVR, but as of now, they have 1 win. So how will you justify they being the top 50 program out of 510 schools in the state of Michigan to actually have teams when you have all these other coaches submitting their stuff? I mean, and in reality, a team that's 3 or 4 weeks into the season, they got 1, 2, 3 wins. They're not a top 50 program at this time. They're simply not. And these 2 teams, not one coach, not one high school varsity coach, assistant coach, or club coach in the entire state of Michigan said that these 2 programs were a Super 50 team early in the 2023 season.
Yeah.
They may be next year, they may have been last year, but right now, they're not.
Hey, we talk about this all the time. There are teams that, because of the first week of the season, what they did last year, they are 100% in that first rankings. We've seen it year over year, time after time. And as the season starts to shake up, hey, regardless of what your schedule is, regardless of your NPR, it comes down to how you're doing on the soccer field. The NPR is a great tool to help seed teams when it comes time for a playoff match in the first and second seeding of a district tournament. But outside of that, NPR means nothing in regards to anything, because if you don't win those games, again, you can only go handle the things that are right in front of you. And if you aren't winning those games, it doesn't matter. And then you can argue about the losses that you have. We get that too. So, but we're here to talk about the high school rankings tonight. We're going to do that here in a second. But again, I implore you. I don't care where your school is, whether you're in the lower half here of the state of Michigan, on the UP, the west side, the east side. It doesn't matter. If you believe that your team should be where you think they should be, then it all comes down to what you do on the soccer field. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter, because the number 1 ranked team right now in the state of Michigan for any of the divisions, if on night 1 of playoffs they lose, it didn't matter how high they were ranked the entire season. And that, I think, is important. None of these rankings mean anything in the whole big scheme of things, because at the end of the year, the team holding the trophy, they're the ones that are number 1. And last year, Rochester Adams was not ranked number 1 at all during the entire fall season.
They weren't even ranked in the preseason.
Nope.
They joined the rankings in week 2.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of coaches said that Rochester Adams was going to be good last year. Were they going to be great? No, they were good. There was 5 ranked teams out of the OAA Red Division last year, just to use that as an example. There's a lot of leagues throughout. You look at these rankings we're going to unveil here in the next 45 minutes. There's a lot of leagues that will have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams mentioned on these lists, either in the top 15 honorable mention. They're just good leagues, and a lot of those leagues are good every year, and boys and girls soccer. You go back many years, sometimes decades, it's the same thing.
It is. Well, hey, without our rant is over, I just, I think that it's important that for parents and players and coaches alike, we do everything we can to talk to coaches, to have an interaction with coaches and players. And Dan does a fantastic job. I mean, he goes above and beyond with reaching out to schools and coaches, and not just talking about that specific team, but talking about all the teams that team might come in contact with, to get us as much information as he possibly can. And I can tell you this right now, that because as a director of broadcasting, I'm going to bother Dan until hell freezes about getting me the content, and getting it to me as fast as possible. And I remember, the last couple of weeks, hey Dan, how's this top 50 coming? Hey man, I got it down to like 75 teams. I go, well, we need it down, 25 more. So Dan had to go through all of this information, along with new information that was coming in, what was happening here across the state of Michigan, and then get those 50 teams into the top 50 across all 4 divisions here in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, and I'm doing a separate story on Division III and Division IV, because there was only 5 Division III schools and there are no Division IVs. Because in reality, if those schools played all D1 schools over 18 games, they have talent, but they would struggle. A lot of them would struggle a lot. So we're doing separate stories. We're going to reveal our players to watch list here for the second half of the season of the state tournament. We've got hundreds of names that coaches have submitted. High school coaches, club coaches. It's a pretty extensive list. We'll think you enjoy it. I'm sure there'll be always 1 or 2 people out there that will disagree, but this is all input from coaches. This isn't necessarily 100% my opinion. So without further ado, let's dig into the rankings.
Well, I was just going to say that maybe before we do that, we talk about some really exciting things that are happening here right now.
Sure.
And I do want to show this to you. We're going to put it right on the screen right now. That's right. Our MSN merch store is officially open. It is actually available right now on YouTube. You can actually purchase right from YouTube on your screen. So while you're doing this, just click a tab and purchase right from there. There's also obviously on our website, go to MSN merch on our website. We have also pushed a top 50 MSN t-shirt, long sleeve, and hoodie with all the names of your schools on the back. If you made it in that top 50, we will do it for the top players here across the state of Michigan as well. So you can purchase that. Right now, all items are off the entire order is 20% off the entire order. It is available at checkout. So check out that merch. It is available right now. We are excited.
You gotta have merch, right?
There are coffee mugs, there are t-shirts, there are hoodies, a lot more coming down the pipeline here, and we are excited. But hey, let's talk rankings, shall we? It's Division 4. In Division 4, week number 5, 15 teams, and here they are. Starting with number 15, Battle Creek Academy for the second consecutive week, 11-2-0. They are at that 15 spot. Kalamazoo Christian holding at 14. They are also new last week. They are 8-4-0. Down 2 spots from 11 to 13. Holland Black River 7-2-0. Lansing Christian 10-4-0, up 1 from 13 to 12. Granville Calvin Christian 4-3-2, down 2 spots from 9 to 11. Madison Heights Bishop Foley's up 2 spots from 12 to 10. They're 6-1-0. Kalamazoo Hackett 7-1-1. They're up 5 spots from 14 to number 9. Leland 6-3-1. They're down 1 spot from 7 to 8. Bangor 6-1-2, up 3 spots from 10 to number 7. Up 2 spots to number 6, Marcellus Howersville Christian 9-1-1. And here are your top 5 teams for Division 4. Bloomfield Hills Roper down 2 spots from 3 to 5. Byron Center Zion Christian 8-2-1. They're up 1 from 5 to 4. Grand Rapids North Point Christian 7-1-3, up 1 spot from 4 to 3. And your 1 and 2 spots hold from last week, Western Michigan Christian. They're at 2 at 8-1-3. And for the 4th consecutive week, Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett 6-0 in the number 1 spot in Division 4, Dan.
Yeah, Liggett's been on quite a run. If you remember last season, they were 14-1-1. Only loss came in a shootout to Birmingham Roper in the district semifinals. So Roper again is another team that's having a great year. They're in the top 5. They did lose 1 game here in the last week or so, but Roper is playing well. Liggett, again, you only have 1 loss over a season and almost a half. you're doing something right. They do have a lot of experienced players, a lot of 3- and 4-year varsity kids. Bangor, at number 7, not a traditional power. Be interested to see what a program like that can do in their first real experience being a top 15 team. They kind of came out of nowhere. And every year we see that. You see a team where they may not traditionally be long, or it's been a long time since they've had a ranked team, but sometimes they have a school like that might have a very good group of athletes, some club kids, kind of grew up together, usually in the same grade or two. And we'll be interested to see what they do in the postseason.
It'll be very interesting to see. Honorable mentions here this week is Hillsdale Academy, Manchester, Allen Park Intercity Baptist, Plymouth Christian, Harbor Springs, and Rochester Hills Lutheran Northwest. In total, 11 changes. No one came in and no one came out of Division 4. So all we had was some shuffling around in those 11 changes for Division 4. So those are your Division 4 rankings. As a reminder, these rankings will be released here at 9 p.m. Eastern on our website. So they're already built the whole thing in. It's fantastic. So it'll publish here at 9 p.m. and we'll have more information throughout the rest of this week, including why these rankings changed, which will happen here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on our MSN News website. So we are going to head to our first commercial break. We come back, we will dive into Division 3. Division 3 only had 5 changes this week, so we'll get into those. On the other side of the break, you are watching the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association High School Ranking Show. We'll be back after this.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
Their first uniform. Their first number. Their first teammate. Their first goal. Their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at kickstarttoddlersoccer.com.
And welcome back here into our Premier Sports Center studios. It's here, Shelby Township, Michigan, outside, just out there where we've been the last couple of weeks, is co-ed soccer taking place, as we talked about here. And we just got done with your Division 4 rankings and getting ready here to hop into Division 3. Jonathan Turner, Dan Stickrat here, not on the call tonight. Normally we say on the call, but we are in studio talking high school rankings. Just got through the 11 changes and in Division 4 with the number 1 team, Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett, holding for the 4th consecutive week. And before we dive into Division 3, yesterday on our MSN News website, we did post about a change coming to our YouTube channel that I wanted to make sure you were all aware of. It's available on our MSN News side as well as our YouTube channel in a post. Moving into 2023, all of our content that we produce live will continue to be free, but only free for 7 days after the actual produced broadcast. And we wanted to bring that to your attention. And the reason why this is important as we talk about the growth of the network is that for us, the ability to go out and contact schools the schools that are having good seasons in different leagues across the state of Michigan, wherever it might be. In order for us to continue to do that without it being a burden on these teams, we have to find a way to continue to get creative with our revenue streams. And this is one of those ways, is that, hey, we will always provide the content for free, but we will be moving into a paid membership, subscription side for our on-demand content only. And what does that mean? That means that for $3.99 a month, you will have access to our entire library of videos. 2022, so anything prior to December 31st, 2022, will be slowly migrated into our on-demand paid system. And in 2024, everything moving forward, 7 days from the air date, will move into our paid subscriber side. And that means that you'll get access to free downloads of the games, discounts on our merch, and a number of other exclusive things that we'll be offering behind the scenes. But we wanted to make sure that you were aware of that as we continue to grow here and continue to go out into the world and cover soccer games. And speaking of covering soccer games, we've got 3 coming up here this week. 2 very good matches here on Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesday night, Dan, we're out at Avondale High School. They're taking on North Farmington in an OAA Blue matchup that's got title ramifications on the line for them. And then on Thursday, we're heading out to Ann Arbor Huron, who welcomes in Saline. And talk about a big game that's going to be. That game Thursday night as well, and we have a game coming up here on Saturday. We'll get into that here a little bit later. But Dan, it's pretty cool. So anyways, wanted to bring that to your attention and talk about the changes that are coming. But either way, excited to now talk about Division III and the high school rankings. Again, we mentioned this already, Dan, that there are 40 changes tonight, but Division III only had 5. So we will get into those 5 changes here right now, as I will push in the Division III rankings on your screen. As always, a ticker at the bottom there, and let's get cooking. Number 15, previously unranked, Fenville is 7-3-1. They replaced Wyoming Godwin Heights, who are currently 5-0. So out went number 15, coming in unranked Fenville for the first time this season. Now down 5 spots from 9 to 14, Macomb Lutheran North 6-5-1. Up 1 to number 13, Ann Arbor Green Hills is 3-3-1. Eaton Rapids is up 1, 7-3-0. They're from 13 to 12. Williamston 6-4-1. They're holding at number 11. Alma up 2 spots from 12 to 10. They're 9-4-0. Grosse Ile up from 10 to number 9, and they are 7-3-0. Milan 9-0-1. Elk Rapids 10-2-1. Hartford 12-0-1. All the same, holding at 8, 7, and 6 respectively. And your top 5 for Division III. Notre Dame Prep holding at 5. Flint Powers holding at 4, Grand Rapids South Christian holding at 3, Detroit Country Day 5-2-2 holding at 2, and continuing to be the number 1 ranked team in the state, Hudsonville Unity Christian 11-0. Dan, your top 8 remained exactly the same way as they did last week. Makes my life really easy when it comes time to make all the adjustments. Again, a total of 5 changes this week, including 1 team coming out and 1 team heading out.
And that 1 team, Fenville, they've actually been here before in the last decade. A lot of ranked teams. They actually come from that 2-division Southwest Athletic Conference we talked about in D4 with Holland Black River Academy, Kalamazoo Catholic, Kalamazoo Christian, Bangor. So there's about 16 teams or so with boys soccer in that conference. So Fenville, I believe like I said, they've been there several times in recent years. Solid, consistent program. Lutheran North and Green Hills are in that AA division of the Catholic High School League. Again, we're starting to see teams kind of beat up on each other. That's a prime example. Or some schools have a lot of losses or a lot of ties because they play a difficult schedule. You see that. Some leagues are, let's be honest, are stronger than others. Eaton Rapids kind of came out of nowhere last year. They did get to the regional finals, the Elite 8. Out of the Lansing area, having another great season. They're in the top 15. Williamston's been there many times before. We talked about Alma a couple weeks ago. They had a great season last year, and now they returned. I mean, like 15 players for Division III schools, a lot. They're having one of their best seasons they've ever had. So Alma's going to be a team to watch. Grosse Ile, 5 straight state championship matches they've made out of the Huron League. They're really young, but they're getting better and better. Only 3 losses, and there's 4 or 5 good teams in that Huron League. And Hartford has been down in Division IV since they started their program about 15 years ago. Been knocking on that door, been in the regional finals a few times. Have yet to make the Final Four, and they only lost 2 games last year. They're 12-0-1 here after 4 weeks of play. So Hartford having another great season, up a division, and that top 5 has stayed the same. What can you say about those 5 programs? There's a lot of talent amongst them. I can see any of those 5 teams, walking away on the first Saturday of December with a trophy to hoist.
Well, we did cover Notre Dame Prep here this past week against New Boston Huron. That game now available on our demand here on the Michigan Soccer Network. That game 6-1 in favor of Notre Dame Prep. You can see why that they are where they are. Will Lanham had a fantastic game, 3 goals in that game. He was an MSN Player of the Week that we announced here on Thursday. So we then headed out to Holly as they took on Almont. Almont won that game 3-2, and just another good matchup here that we saw on Thursday night. And but that is your Division III rankings. Honorable mentions this week: Almont, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, Gladwin, and Grand Rapids West Catholic, all in the honorable mention category. Again, 5 total changes. 1 team out. Fenville 7-3-1 in that 15 spot. Wyoming Godwin Heights 5-0-0, and they bounced out of the top 15 here this week.
And you could look at Almont as a team on the rise. Imlay City has been ranked for the last several years. They've won, I believe, 7 straight Blue Water Area Athletic Conference titles. Almont's trying to unseat the Spartans in that conference, so definitely watch on Almont. They're a team that is surging, and we could see them in that top 15 before the year's over.
We very well could. So that's your Division III rankings here on this Sunday, September the 17th. Not only, are we talking rankings here, the Lions lost today, and I'm sure a lot of you are, especially if it's this home opener, are probably feeling the pain of that loss. Not me, I'm used to it, so I think that it just kind of rolls off. But either way, it is a fantastic night here to talk soccer. When we come back here from break, we will give you your Division II rankings for the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I work in nursing home, I work in the restaurant, and I own my own food truck. And I bank with Huntington. I used to always look at that sign, come on, own your own home. So one day I just said, okay, I'm gonna go talk to the banker. And he didn't tell me, no, it's not possible. He told me anything was possible. And that made me feel good. Hi, I'm Veronica, and this is my banker, Roger. He's awesome. He's a good guy.
Beat Up Sweet Chili Lime Sauce has 3 perfect ingredients. Sweet, chili, lime. People keep telling us sweet isn't an ingredient. How these wings get sweet then? Introduce a new Sweet Chili Lime for a limited time at Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
Do it.
Come on, Dad, get me.
Ooh, nice play. All right, you go. There we go.
So cute. At Ally, we're helping millions save more for the things that matter most to them. Whatever you're saving for, we're all better off with an Ally.
Get back to work. Oh.
Welcome back here into our Premier Sports Center studios. It is Sunday, September the 17th. Sunday night, 8 o'clock, means that we're talking high school soccer rankings here from all across the great state of Michigan. So right now, if you're watching us, here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell us where you're watching from, what school you go to. Let us know in the comments right now. And let us know where you're watching or what school you play for. It doesn't matter, division. Give us something here. We'd love to hear from you. We have heard from Edsel Ford already here tonight. So let us know right in the comments what you think. And Dan, rankings get me fired up. How about you?
Yeah, especially later in the season. We're not that far away from tournament time. That's when it really gets exciting.
That's right. Tournament time only less than a month away. And we got a lot of good games coming up here later on this month and going into October. So we are excited. Bay City and John Glenn in the house. So there we go. We got our first one. Bay City, John Glenn. So we're going to talk Division II here in just a moment. I've already talked about this, but I'm going to keep talking. MSN merch now available. Let's keep it going. We want to sell some merchandise here. If you have ideas for a design, by all means, let us know. We got Berkeley in the house at David Kane. So MSN merch, 20% off right now. All MSN merch. It's a grand opening special available right now on our website. So go to MichiganSoccerNetwork.com. Click on MSN merch. It takes you right there. It is super easy, and it is created on demand and shipped right to your door. And we've got Midland Dow in the house, Pat's Code, which is good. Ahmed Darsham from Edsel Ford. So number 248 Sports Media. Holly, thanks for filming our match last week. Go Broncos. Go Broncos. So we are excited to get into Division II. I'm assuming everybody wants to talk Division II now. So let's get it going, Dan. Division II rankings, the top 15 teams from across the state for Division II. There were 13 changes this week. So 13 total changes. We'll start with number 15, and here are those rankings right now across the bottom of your screen. We'll move that nice little other ticker out of the way. Coming in at number 15, holding at 15 for the second consecutive week, Gibraltar Carlson at 7-2-1. Linden down 7 spots from 7 to 14 at 6-2-1. Riverview down 1 from 12 to 13 at 6-3-1. Holland 5-3-5. They are up 2 from 14 to 12. Mason up 2 from 13 to 11, 5-1-4. Auburn Hills Avondale down 1 spot from 9 to number 10. They're 9-3-1. Sturgis up 1 from 10 to 9 at 8-0-1. Walled Lake Western punching their way into the top 15 all the way to number 8 at 8-1-2. Fruitport is up 1 from 8 to 7 at 7-2-2. Allendale, 7-0-4, is down from 5 to 6. And here are your top 5 teams for Division II. Orchard Lake St. Mary's, 8-1-0, up 1 spot from 6 to number 5. They finally have found a way to punch in to the top 5. Grand Rapids Christian, 5-3-2, down 2 spots from 2 to 4. Grand Rapids Forest Hill Central, they're up 1 from 4 to 3. Holland Christian up 1 from 3 to 2 at 8-1-1. And Richland Gull Lake holding at number 1. I think that's for the 4th consecutive week at 9-1-1. And there are your top 15 teams for Division II.
And Gull Lake was your Division II state champ last year. They've actually been in the Final Four for the last 5 years. So the Blue Devils, again, rolling. Not scoring as many goals as they had the last 3 or 4 years. A very defensive-minded team this year, and they're a tough team to beat. Gibraltar Carlson, another team that you go back the last 20, 25 years, not a lot of weak strength in the top 15 of the state, but they've kind of been that third team in that Downriver League behind Dearborn, Edsel Ford, and Woodhaven that's kind of dominated that conference in the last decade. Gibraltar Carlson started to make some noise. They would love nothing more to unseat those two teams atop of that conference standings. Linden, the Flint Metro League is a little bit more balanced this year. There's 5 or 6 teams very close to each other. They had a non-league loss to Flint Powers, and they had a league and I think a loss to Orville and Brandon and a tie against Flushing. Riverview was your Final Four team last year, lost 14 kids, but they've made their way back into the rankings the last couple of weeks. And we talked about Sturgis last week. They're kind of that surprise team in Division II where I think it's been 2 decades since Sturgis has had a ranked team. So they're undefeated 4 weeks in. And Wall Lake Western's another team that they've kind of been a middle of the pack team at best since that formation of the Lakes Valley Conference 8 or 9 years ago. I don't think they've had a ranked team in 20 years, but they're atop of that conference right now, 8-1-2, one of their best starts they've ever had. Yeah, Fruitport and Allendale, they're in that same league, that Blue Division of the Ottawa-Kent Conference, along with Hudson Unity Christian and a few others. That's a great league. So those two teams are kind of sitting there in that top 4 of their conference standings. Very capable of doing some damage here come the postseason. And St. Mary's 8-1-0. I think this might be one of their best starts, if not their best start, since they started that program about 20 years ago.
Yeah, Keith Jeffers has St. Mary's rolling. They could wrap up their side of the Catholic League here this week with a win over Ann Arbor Green Hills here on Tuesday. So good luck to St. Mary's this week. If they get that win, they would actually get themselves punched their ticket into I believe the Bishop Championship for the Catholic League, which we will be covering here on October 4th, and we are excited. Those games we played at Keyworth Stadium.
Interesting, yeah.
Which would be really, really cool. Some quick notes here. Brett Wojciechowski, St. Mary's in the house. Flint Powers is in the house. Go Chargers. Edsel Ford. A lot of Edsel Ford here tuning in here tonight. We appreciate that. Teams in this week. Walled Lake Western, as we mentioned. Zeeland West is the team that was at 11, is out of the top 15. The honorable mentions, Bay City, John Glenn, Cedar Springs, Marquette, and Coldwater are your teams that were in the honorable mention. Matter of fact, we have a Bay City John Glenn. Brian Shazer, I think it's pronounced Shazer. I apologize if I butchered that, but Bay City John Glenn, honorable mention here in this week's rankings for Division II. So keep those coming. Let us know where you're watching from, what school you go to, and that is your Division II rankings. 13 total changes. And we are excited to bring those to you. We'll be out at number 10, Auburn Hills Avondale here on Tuesday against North Farmington in that OAA blue matchup. So
North Farmington is having a little bit of a resurgence this year after being somewhat down here. It's funny, they were in the OAA Red Division 5-6 years ago, and they kind of teetered down the list. Now they're on the way back up, so that could have huge title implications for that conference race.
It very well could, so very well could. That is your Division II rankings. When we come back here from our last and final break, Division I, the top 15 teams from across the great state of Michigan, high school rankings. We'll be back after this.
Let's do it.
Come on, Dad, get me.
Oh, nice play. All right, go. There we go.
So cute. At Ally, we're helping millions save more for the things that matter most to them. Whatever you're saving for, we're all better off with an Ally.
I'll get back to work. Oh.
Every small business has expenses as it grows. Whether you're a farmer, a wedding planner, or anything in between, PFCU can help. With a suite of business services, we can help build your business.
Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
And welcome back here into our Premier Sports Center studios, and talk about timing. Our screen behind us went out and it came right back on just as you guys were welcoming back. So talk about timing. We love it very, very much. We are back here. John Turner, Dan Stickrat, live here on this Sunday evening, talking high school rankings, and we are now at Division I. And Dan, before we get into Division I here, overall thoughts here so far tonight.
Yeah, we see a lot of movement, and a lot of I talked about the strength of schedules in various conferences around the state where you see a lot of ties, close losses, close wins. So teams will fluctuate based on what happened, but there's a lot of parity in certain leagues too, where you might be ranked for 2 weeks, fall out, and then the next week you're back in just because you had one loss that knocked you out, but then you picked up 3 more wins and you're back in. So,
no question about that. It is time for Division I. I can't do a drum roll, so don't ask me to do one, Dan. Division I rankings here. We'll come across the bottom of your screen here right now. We'll move that one in and out, and there they are. Coming in at number 15, Edsel Ford. They're down 7 spots from 8 to 15. Muskegon Reeths Puffer, they hold at 14 at 9-2-1. Traverse City West 8-1-1. They're down 1 from 12 to 13. Royal Oak up 3 at 8-0-2 to number 12. Grand Rapids Forest Hills Northern 8-1-0. They're down 4 spots from 7 to 11. Saline 5-0-3. They're down 1 from 9 to number 10. Fraser down 3 spots from 6 to number 9. They're 8-2-0. Portage Central 9-0-2. They're up 2 spots from 10 to number 8. Ann Arbor Huron 5-3-1. They're down 3 spots from 4 to number 7. Rochester Adams coming in at number 6. They're up 5 spots. They're at 8-2-0. And here are your top 5 for Division I. East Kentwood 7-1-1. Currently they were last week, they were 5th. They are 5th again this week. Oxford, they are down 1 from 3 to number 4. They're 9-1-3. Northville up 10 spots from 13 to number 3. Berkeley 10-0-2, holding at number 2. And Clarkston for the 3rd consecutive week, holding at 7-0-1 and that number 1 spot for Division I. Once again.
Yeah, again, we see a lot of movement like that. Edsel Ford 8-0-3. They tumbled quite a bit, but they haven't lost yet. Northville has the 1 loss. They tumbled last week. Now they're back up in the top 5. So it's strange how some teams hold firm based on the result, and some teams keep fluctuating that much. And they could see a couple other teams do the same thing. They have a huge jump or a big fall next week. Muskegon Reeth Puffer holding till we talked about them last week. They kind of put things together late last season, won a district championship in D2, up in D1 this year, having a great season. TC West, all good teams have losses. They had a little blip on their radar. They were upset by Petoskey just a couple days ago, 2-1, but the Titans have won 21 of the last 25 Big North Conference titles, so I wouldn't be surprised that by the end of their 10-game league schedule, they're on top. Royal Oak, best start since the Don Darrow-Kimball merger back in 2006. Forest Hills Northern, Final 4 team in D2, up in D1 this year. Again, 8-1-0, 1 loss, very tough conference. You got Forest Hills Central, Grand Rapids Christian, and a few other teams that kind of, beating up on each other in that conference. And they're kind of juggling because the Ottawa-Kent Conference, there's 8 teams per division over 6 divisions, but a lot of them do a conference tournament where, you'll have 3 conference tournament games at the end, in October, and it's based on seeding. So they're not just jockeying for the regular season championship, but they're trying to jockey for seeding for the conference tournament. Portage Central, man, they only gave up 8 goals last year, Jonathan. I think they've only given up 4 this year. So you talk about the Mustangs' defense. That's a hard team to score upon. They were in the regional finals last year. I think they were regional semifinals 2 years ago. And Portage Central, as good as their girls team is and how steady their boys team has been, I don't think their boys team has been to a Final Four since the 1990s. So definitely watch Portage Central this year. That defense can win championships. So we'll see how they do. Ann Arbor Huron and Saline, that same conference, that red division of the Southeastern Conference. It's a very deep league. They seem to be the top 2 teams right now, although Ann Arbor Pioneer is kind of knocking on the door. I wouldn't be surprised if they break into the top 15 at one point this season as well. Rochester Adams, your defending state champs. Remember, they had that one anomaly a couple weeks ago where they gave up 7 goals to Clarkston and 4 goals to Adams. But all their other games are shutouts. I think they have 8 shutouts. So there was just 2 strange games, but they have regrouped, and they're back in the fold. They fell down to the bottom end of the rankings, and now they're back up at 6th. And you look at that top 5, East Kentwood, I think they brought back 12 kids. They had a kid go down with an ACL tear over the summer, but they picked up 3 MLS Next kids that have elevated this team to heights that we were used to seeing them play just a few years ago. I mean, that's a school that's won 5 state championships in the last, I think, 17 seasons. So East Kentwood, the Falcons, back on the rise. Oxford's having their best start since becoming a Division I school. Northville has been very good the last few years. They kind of tumbled last week on the 1 loss. Now they're back in the top 5. And Clarkston and Berkeley, 2 teams that are hard to score upon. And, Berkeley's got some great goaltending. Their goaltender is definitely making a case to be first-team All-State, considered for the Dream Team. He's had an incredible year. And Clarkston, I just think they're probably the most talented team, top to bottom, right now, at least in Division I. They seem to have all the pieces capable of making a deep run. And Clarkston's another one of those schools. They've been good for the last 15, 20 years, never won a state championship.
No, we're getting to that point in the season now where things are starting to kind of shake up the way that we think that they're going to, and it'll be interesting to see what happens here over the next couple of weeks, because I think that we're going to start to really see as we get towards the business end of the high school season what really is going to happen here come playoff time. 11 total changes here, Division I. No teams in, no teams out. I mentioned there were only 2 teams that came in this week and came out. Honorable mention, Rockford, Utica Eisenhower, Troy Athens, BC, Lakeview, and Anchor Bay. So those are your Battle Creek, Lakeview, and Anchor Bay.
Yeah, and you talk about Lakeview. There's 2 Lakeviews, St. Clair Shores Lakeview and Battle Creek Lakeview, both having very good seasons. Battle Creek, we kind of came on strong last year. They're in the top 5 of that Southwestern, Athletic Conference where Portage Central, Richland Gold Lake, and a few others are at. Very good team, and St. Clair Shores Lakeview kind of came out of nowhere last season. They finished like 16-3-1. Lost in the district finals of Fraser. I think they were honorable mention last week. They brought back a ton of players, so just 2 Lakeviews in the state of Michigan that are having very good seasons. Both of them are in Division I.
Well, that they are. Those are your top 15 teams from all 4 divisions. They were just released here live on the Michigan Soccer Network, as I mentioned, here at 9 in about 11 minutes. Those will be available on our website at Michigan Soccer Network. We will push them out into all social media here as well. And we are excited to be the official release of the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association high school rankings. And I think it's important to talk about that because, this is the first time in the history of soccer over the last couple of years that rankings have been released in this fashion. They've been released on the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association website. They've been released by the media, MLive, and a number of other organizations. But this is the only show of its kind in the state of Michigan, releasing rankings like we're doing here each and every Sunday night. Your support, your subscribership, very, very important in our growth, and we truly, truly appreciate it. As a reminder, On Tuesday night, we'll be out at Avondale High School as they welcome in North Farmington. On Thursday night, we'll be out at Ann Arbor Huron as they welcome in Saline, as he mentioned, in a Southeast Conference Red matchup. And then on Saturday, we will be doing a game all the way in Cleveland as a ECNL boys matchup. The Nationals 2010s taking on Cleveland in the Force and their 2010s from Cleveland. So that's exciting, as we'll bring that to you here live Saturday morning. And but that's it, Dan. That's our ranking show here on the 17th of September. Week number 5 is in the books.
Yeah, well, we'll release our 10 through 1 here tomorrow morning, early afternoon. Again, we'll have some D3 and D4 stories coming out this week. The top player listing is almost completed. We'll release that this week as well. And kind of a guidebook of kids that will likely become All-State. Consideration for that first team in each division, maybe the dream team, Mr. Soccer candidates. There seems to be a lot of players being listed as kids to watch for that dream team this year. Good pool of 20, 25 kids that, you know, and it's common where you see a kid, a player that when you have so many schools in that part of the state saying, that kid's good, he really is good, he's a Division I recruit, you got to put him on the list. I may not personally see all these teams. I don't have time to go out and see 510 teams play, but take the word for a lot of coaches. I mean, some coaches will take the time, they'll give me a call and talk to you for an hour listing, you know, every single player in their part of the state they think is worthy of a mention.
That's right. Well, hey, from all of us here at the Michigan Soccer Network, Dan Stickrat, my name's Jonathan Turner. We are, once again excited to bring these rankings to you here each and every Sunday. We'll be back here next Sunday night with an all-new week number 6 high school rankings presented by the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. Hit that subscribe button, like us, share this with your friends and family. And like I always say, we'll see you next time for more soccer.